Hello, Julian Schwartz with JJW Productions, and this is a 2012 Jeep Liberty. Now, I'm borrowing this car from one of my friends who has graciously allowed me to film it. Now, a few interesting things about the Jeep Liberty. This is actually the last model year that the Liberty was produced. It first was made in 2002 as the successor to the, at the time, discontinued Jeep Cherokee. The first generation Jeep Liberty first produced in 2002. The front end design remained with it until 2004. Then in 2005, they gave a little bit of a refresh to the front end, and they kept the back end and the interior pretty much the same until 2008, when they redid the Liberty again, making it a more boxy style Jeep, similar to the Jeep Commander, which was a little bit bigger than this at the time. And they kept this current design until they discontinued it in 2012. Now, some cool things about the Jeep Liberty, it actually is around the same size as the current Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now, that's interesting because when the Liberty was first produced, it was actually the successor to the Jeep Cherokee, which was significantly smaller. They were built on the same platform where in other markets, the Liberty was actually called the Jeep Cherokee. Kind of interesting. Now, some other interesting things about the Liberty. This is basically the same size as the Grand Cherokee. It slots right below the Jeep Commander, which is a little bit bigger than this, and it actually looks very similar to the Commander. I actually looked at one online, and I was like, that looks very much like the Jeep Liberty. So, kind of interesting that even though it's a little bit larger of a car, it almost looks identical to it. The biggest difference is that the Commander has a higher roofline in the rear, as opposed to this, which has a flat roofline all throughout. Regarding the trim level of this Jeep Liberty, it's actually called the Latitude, which is actually a special edition trim of the Sport model. Now, some of the differences between the Sport and the Latitude are chrome wheels, chrome cladding instead of black cladding, as well as leather seats and heated seats on the interior. So some of the interesting features that this Liberty comes with, it has Bluetooth radio, so you can make hands-free calling. It has the buttons on the steering wheel, and then also has an auxiliary port and Bluetooth option on the radio itself. So something that I like about the Jeep Liberties, and that's actually a very nice feature on it, is it has a separate glass hatch with the lift gate. Now you can open the lift gate like normal, like this, or you can open the glass separately like this. There's a button, clearly marked window, so kind of helps there. So you can open that separately as opposed to opening the rest of the tailgate. Kind of helps if you don't need access to the full tailgate and just need to throw something in. Now, other than the button down here, you can also open it using the key fob. You just hit the button for it twice, and it opens up. Now, this is actually something that Jeep improved on. Whenever they first made the Liberty in 2002 as the successor of the Cherokee, the Liberty at the time had something similar to this, only instead of having a full tailgate with the hatches part of it, they actually had two separate pieces. The bottom half, which actually opened up wide, similar to the Wrangler, and then a separate hatch that opened up like this one does. It was actually basically identical to the Wrangler hardtop that had that where you open the door up and then you can open the glass up. Which, problems with that, obviously if you needed the glass open, you had to open the bottom part of the tailgate, and kind of something that wasn't too great. This one, at least, they improved on, since you can open the glass without actually having to open the rest of the tailgate up. It's pretty cool. Now, something that is interesting and also kind of unique, the Jeep Liberty shares its platform as well as its design with the Dodge Nitro. Now, that is obviously, it's the same design, has the same box shape. The Nitro was kind of new for Dodge as well. It was first made in 2008. But what's interesting, even though they share the same platform and inside and out look basically identical, except for one's a Dodge, one's a Jeep, the Nitro doesn't have the glass hatch. It has a single tailgate. It doesn't have the openable glass. It's just a single piece, and the windshield wiper is actually a little bit higher on it as well. It's kind of interesting, and kind of the first time that I have seen two cars that share the same platform not have that similarity between them. Go figure. Now, the interior of the Jeep Liberty is kind of similar to a lot of other Chrysler products, and it's also a little bit smaller, surprisingly, even though it's a larger vehicle. Like I said, the steering wheel design is similar to a lot of other Chrysler products. It has the, whenever I look at this thing, it basically is the same design as my dad's Chrysler 300 steering wheel, and my friend used to own a Dodge Dart. Its wheel is very similar to his. It shares similar stocks, and the side windows themselves, the window switches are basically taken right out of the Chrysler products. So kind of interesting that they took all that from it and used that. But what's nice about the interior, like I said, it has the Bluetooth radio. It also has an auxiliary port, so if your phone isn't synced with Bluetooth, you can still play your music, which is something that I like. Now, another cool thing about the interior of the Jeep Liberty, you also have heated seats. So it's kind of nice that it offers those. Like I said, this is the Latitude trim level, which is basically the mid-range trim level of it. So it's kind of cool. Another cool thing about it is that you can actually select how you have the four-wheel drive. You don't have to have it in four-wheel drive all the time, unlike my car, which is an all-wheel drive. It's always in it. Another cool thing about the interior of the Liberty, it actually has a handbrake, as opposed to a push brake like my car does. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, I love having the pull handle as opposed to a push one. It's a lot better. I like the feel of it, and I wish a lot more cars had this design. So a feature that the Jeep Liberty comes with, as kind of interesting, is a tow/haul button for a towing package. It's located right near the gear shift lever on the center console. Now, this isn't something that's uncommon in a lot of SUVs or trucks. However, on the Jeep Liberty, it kind of is interesting that it has it, because this Jeep Liberty doesn't actually have a trailer hitch for a towing package. So it makes you wonder why Jeep included the button even though there's no trailer hitch. Now, something that I don't like about the Liberty, and that's kind of an issue with it, or at least a problem with a lot of Jeeps, is the door handles themselves. Like I said, it has a push button handle as opposed to a physical door handle, so it's kind of weird to use it, and not really a big fan of it. It's a lot more common on the Wranglers. I know at least the Liberty comes with it, the Wrangler comes with it, and it's not something that I like. I kind of wish that Jeep would just use a regular handle like everyone else. Now, some of the things that are kind of bad with the Liberty and that I don't like with the interior is the lack of space in the front. Despite how big this car is, you actually don't get a lot of space. Now, right now, I'm actually all the way back in the seat setting. This is usually, like I said, my friend's car, so she's a little bit up farther than me, and she's actually smaller than me as well. So her seat position is closer, but for me to be all the way back right now, and usually this is my seat setting, but there's not a lot of space. It's very tight with the legs, it's very tight to get into it, so not really a big fan of that. You also don't have a lot of space up front. It's basically you have your windshield and then a small shelf, and then that's it. There's not a lot of space in the front, which is very surprising considering how big this car actually is from the outside. The one good thing though is that you do have a shelf right above the infotainment center and the air conditioning that you can put stuff. You can either put your phone or you can put sunglasses or something like that. So kind of interesting that you have the shelf here. Another thing that I don't like with the interior of the Jeep Liberty is the interior color. Now, it's actually kind of interesting because this one doesn't do it, like this one doesn't have the same kind of issues that a lot of the other cars I've seen have, where it's black on the bottom, tan on the top. It's actually spread out. You have the black on the bottom all throughout, and then at the front you have the tan pillars, the beige pillars, and then the beige/tan roof. However, behind the A pillars from the B pillars back, those are all black. I don't know, I think this is probably the worst design of it. Just make it all black. That's what I've been saying all along, and I don't get why car companies do that. So, seems kind of weird that the Liberty would take it even worse and have the front pillars be tan, but then the rest to be black. I don't know, maybe they saw the error of the other ways. Who knows? And that is the Jeep Liberty. Now, like I said, I like sort of like the style of it. I like the truck-like design of this new one better than the older ones were. And I like that it's a little bit bigger as well. I also like how on a Jeep you have Bluetooth as well as memory settings. That's kind of cool and something a little bit rarer on a Jeep itself. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. If you have not done so already and you wish to do so, please hit that subscribe button to stay updated on my channel and see future videos, as well as my past car review videos. And until next time, I'm Julian Schwartz. Take care.